Video games, movies, video game movies. The kind of movies most people would think would be a great idea by taking the elements from your favorite games and giving out new content that you usually wouldn't get to see in a normal video game. It was probably easier for the producers because they didn't even need to make any new characters or a new setting, just a new plot. And while the idea of all that sounds easy and great, it's mostly looked down upon for some reason. Even the companies behind the video games didn't want to risk making a movie based upon the properties because of all the potential loss of money and humiliation and whatnot. But it seems that nowadays, the movies are actually becoming a bit more watchable, with new movies being announced left and right. In the last couple of years, properties like Detective Pikachu and the Sonic movie broke the trend of bad adaptations a little bit by being fairly well received and making a decent amount of dough at the box office. But let's be honest, 2 movies just isn't enough to wash away the legacy of bad movies that's come forward. In addition to the video game movies that never made it past the pre-production limbo, like the long-rumored Halo or Bioshock films, there is a reason why just so many of us roll our eyes at even the slightest mention of a video game being adapted into a film or television series. Even a renowned game franchise in the past like Resident Evil or Assassin's Creed that made it onto the big screen before, the Hollywoodification of the source material was always guaranteed to make the film awful somehow. Let's look at the Resident Evil movie franchise. The writers didn't seem to understand the horror aspect of the games at all. They created new characters, ignored the characters from the old games, and turned them into complete idiots. They pretty much just missed the point entirely on there. And then there's also the Doom movie, which completely wrote out all the monsters and demons, which is like 90% of the game. Now, I know most people will instantly say the Mario movie from 1993, but really, in my and most other people's opinion, the movie is so bad that it's good. It has its own charm with it being a bit cheesy, and come on, this was the first ever video game movie adaptation, so you can't really blame the writers for trying to come up with something based on a game with almost no story and a game that played on friggin' pixels at the time. And then the movie also starred Bob Hoskins as Mario and John Leguizamo as Luigi, who I think are pretty known in the film industry. Wait. John Leguizamo also starred in Chef by Jon Favreau. Wait, does this mean that the Mario movie is canon to Chef? Now, in a time where the Marvel Cinematic Universe has reigned the film industry for almost a decade, it feels like filmmakers and TV showrunners are eager to prove that if comic books could be milked from source material and make tons of money, so too can video games, damn it. And it's a good thing. We're in an era of good comic book movies and shows, which definitely wasn't always the case. And admittedly, the onslaught of video game movie and TV adaptation announcements are getting harder to ignore. I mean, some of them are completely wild. Recently, there have been lots of updates on the new Uncharted movie that's been slated for 2022, the new Mortal Kombat reboot film which pretty much just came out, and the new Borderlands movie which has a ridiculously high profile cast for a video game movie that's largely themed around blowing up space rednecks. Jack Black was announced to play as the role of Claptrap, and he'll be joining Cate Blanchett as Lilith, Kevin Hart as Roland, and Jamie Lee Curtis as Dr. Tannis. On one hand, it feels like there's no way a Borderlands movie could be good, simply because, you know, staying up with your friends all night trying to be Cromarax, even though you're severely underleveled, just to me doesn't feel like it would translate to a movie too well. On the other hand, the liberties that screenwriters usually take with characters that you spent hundreds of hours with often just feels a little icky. These two factors alone stack the odds against every video game movie from the beginning. In truth, Jack Black will probably make a pretty good Claptrap, but it's hard to turn off that part of your brain that's already heard the very distinctive Claptrap voice for hundreds of hours across multiple games. If the Borderlands movie wasn't enough to make you turn your head, Sony Pictures Television just confirmed that they're producing a live-action series based on Twisted Metal of all things. Yes, Twisted Metal, the vehicle combat arena game that has an ice cream truck that can shoot missiles driven by a murderous clown that has fire for hair. But I mean, those games are fun and a lot of people have a soft spot for them. However, it kind of seems out of touch. The last Twisted Metal game came out in the early 2010s, and even though it didn't completely bomb, it also didn't do well enough for Sony to significantly invest in more Twisted Metal games in the past decade. According to Variety, the Twisted Metal show is being adapted behind the writers of Deadpool and Zombieland. And I mean, that seems as good as fit as any. There's plenty more hope upon the horizon as far as future video game adaptations go too. The new Mortal Kombat movie that just came out, for example. It seemed to have a good handle on what fans want in the cinematic reboot for the franchise. Largely in the past, it felt like the source material for video games wasn't really taken seriously by Hollywood executives, or screenwriters, or directors, or anyone really. I guess that's understandable, but part of the large success of all the comic-based shows and movies we have now are showing a reverence to those original characters and their stories. Now, it seems all that could start happening for video games. The upcoming Last of Us series being developed by HBO is going to tackle the setting and plot of the first game while presumably adding in some stuff that didn't make it in originally. That seems kinda cool, and better still, Neil Druckmann, the creative director of Naughty Dog, and Evan Wells, the CEO of Naughty Dog, will be heavily involved with the production of the show. Furthermore, the TV adaptation will cast Bella Ramsey as Ellie, known for her role as Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones, and Pedro Pascal as Joel, who starred in Narcos, Game of Thrones, and is recently known as his role in The Mandalorian. I mean, Joel's The Mandalorian is Joel, in a very few words, work perfectly. So from the outside looking in, it feels like there is a lot more star power, effort, and money going into these new video game movie and TV adaptations. You know, the first season of Netflix's Witcher show was fun, and at the very least we know that a second season is on the way. Sequels for the Sonic and Detective Pikachu movies are also confirmed, and Nintendo even teamed up with Illumination to create a new animated Super Mario movie set to release in 2022. In addition, there are a ton more video game related projects like a cinematic reboot for Resident Evil, a film adaptation of The Division, a Cyberpunk 2077 anime, a Fallout series coming to Amazon, and even an Assassin's Creed series coming on Netflix. So maybe things are finally looking up and we're looking into a new era of video game adaptations that we wish we always had sooner. Are there any confirmed adaptations that you're looking forward to? Do you have a favorite video game movie that already exists and that I didn't mention and might feel as if it's underrated maybe? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to press the like button and maybe even subscribe. Have a good one.